All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the premiere episode of Shaun Doesn't Play Video Games, the podcast where Shaun doesn't play games, but now he does.
Counterintuitive to what the statement just made.
Right. All right. So I'm your host, Tyler, and I'm joined with always the lovely Shaun Evans, who apparently doesn't play video games, but now he does.
Now I do.
Like I said, this is the pilot episode for Shaun Doesn't Play Video Games. So that means we're going to be talking about Steam, sort of like the user interface of how it works and just kind of his generally feelings on it. And then in the following weeks, we're going to talk about Super Meat Boy and kind of go from there. We're going to go through the sequence of events of indie games through time. So right off the bat, Shaun, how do you feel about your first experiences with Steam?
I don't know. It wasn't bad because I use the internet regularly, so like signing up wasn't a big deal. But the first time I tried to log in, it gave me a bunch of problems. Like the code didn't work and stuff. So initially, I was kind of turned off by that. I was kind of, I don't know, hesitant a little bit after the third or fourth time of trying to enter it. But eventually, it let me in, so that was nice. Although I wasn't aware that you had to actually download Steam to your desktop to play games.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't really clear. So I figured it out once it was time to play Meat Boy. Or Super Meat Boy, but yeah. So initially, I was kind of like, about Steam.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. Apparently, the nifty Google Hangout feature isn't quite staying on topic or staying on person. Whatever. Anyway, so but I know you were confused because there's something to do with about spending money to open up a Google or a Steam group.
Yeah. It made me mad because I wanted to like get the ball rolling on this podcast, and I went ahead and registered the name and registered a website for Shaun Doesn't Play and stuff, and then it told me that I couldn't actually start a group because I didn't spend $5, and it wanted to prevent like advertisers from getting on here and starting groups and stuff, which I can understand, but I thought that was kind of weird.
Right, it's a very strange paywall to kind of develop. That it's like. What you'll find out is kind of like groups aren't necessarily like a huge like functionality of it. Like at least for me personally, I don't use groups at all. Hold on, wait, Taylor's giving me the rundown, making sure it's okay. Anyway, so I've never used groups like really ever consistently before because it's been like I've played like one or two people. Like I haven't played with like a large enough like audience of people, but I can imagine like if you're a publisher and you want to like get your message out to like a lot of people and you like make a group, I guess that makes sense that you want to make sure that there isn't like they aren't like trying to scam people or like you were saying, advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. Even right now, I just tried to open it up just so I could like refresh myself, and it said like right off the bat that it couldn't connect to the Steam network, and I had to close it and then reopen it, and it was now everything works fine. It's so weird.
Right.
I don't know if it's me or if it's just maybe it is. I don't know.
So I guess technically you only have one friend right now, right?
Right, just you.
Cool. And it feels like a very solitary experience for the most part because I don't think there's really a way necessarily to make friends like right off the bat. Like I'm pressing add a friend. Like I don't know if like in some situations you could like find your Facebook friends, but I don't think it has any of that. You have to like kind of really go through and like find the people and find their names. Like because I remember trying to find you, it was impossible.
Are you using the like the program on the desktop? Or are you using the like online?
I only use the desktop version. I downloaded it, and so I'm never using the online or the browser one because it feels like it's always like this is a new device for you to be using. Can you verify this code for us? And I'm like, I'm using the same computer I always use, bro. Like, why? It's like every time. I'm like, I'm not even like. That is sort of like annoying. Like it is nice that they allow you to have to open up a browser for all the functionality of Steam, but it doesn't really have like I don't know why I would ever use that. If like because the website version or the app version exists.
Mm-hmm.
So have you actually went and like bought any games or looked at the store yet?
I looked at the store, but no, I haven't bought anything.
No. How do you feel about sort of like, I guess you don't really know what to look for, do you? Because you're kind of like going into this void of like a bunch of stuff. Did it look like inviting at all? Was there anything that like, did it really like prompt you to like sort of like dig into like looking at stuff, or what? Like, or were you kind of like, I don't want to look at this, you know? Was it intimidating?
I don't know. I guess I haven't really explored that much on here, to be honest. It's not like, the more that I learn, the more that I'm seeing there are different kinds of games. So I guess I'm excited about that because like I said, I'm so limited in game use and like playing games that everything is like so new to me. I hate saying this because it's so stupid.
That's okay. But there is some like functionality that I feel like really helps you kind of figure out what you want to play, because once you kind of get like a game or two onto your account, you can like, you have a queue, and it'll give you like a bunch of like games that are similar to ones that you've played currently.
Okay.
And so you can either add it to your wish list, you can follow the game, or you can say you're not interested in it, and that you can kind of like flip through a bunch of games and kind of find stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it, and I have like a wish list that's at like 40 games right now, and I'm like, I don't really intend on really picking up a whole lot of them, but I certainly was like, you know, I was like, that seems like an interesting game. That seems, you know, right. So
looking at it right now, like just going over it as we're speaking, I don't know. Okay, so here's one thing that I really like about Steam is that I'm surprised pleasantly about how excessively priced the games are that I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking at it, the highest one I can see is like $11. And I'm looking at indie. Yeah, so $13, and I'm thinking like, really, that's not that bad compared to like if I went to the store and got a video game. I know how much those are, and you know, I'm not about to drop $50.
Right, $60. Yeah,
right.
And that's sort of like why that's like super great, because Steam kind of like enabled people to be able to pick up games digitally that were, and enable them to also have sales so that you can get games a lot cheaper, and so you don't have to worry about like the physical boxes, and so it doesn't have that sort of physicality tied to it, because even like the AAA games that are on Steam are still pretty much like the box price.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's almost like difficult to justify even like the digital or the physical copies anymore,
right.
Because there's a Metal Gear Solid 5 just came out, or it is coming out, and apparently the disc that all that's on it is just a Steam installer. Like, so it's like, it's
literally nothing.
Yeah. Like, and if that's the case, then you couldn't just install it if you had like a really crappy internet.
Right.
You know, like that's sort of the problem with that, is that you can't just install it and play it. You have to like go into Steam, which is sort of like the blessing and the curse of Steam, which is why I kind of have mixed feelings about it. But there are also other companies that sort of like have services that you can use. Humble Bundle is a website that offers DRM free, which means that there's no like, you can kind of share it, you can kind of do whatever you want with it once you buy it. Humble Bundle like typically offers like a bunch of games, like it's curated and it's a pay what you want flat fee sort of, but they also have a store function that's kind of a lot like Steam. And there's also GOG that also has like a bunch of older games that also has a similar structure to Steam, where it's kind of like lots of discounts frequently for stuff. So there's definitely been some opposition to the Steam concept, because Steam kind of like started it, they kind of innovated it. But sort of like, because everything's so tied to Steam, people have kind of like been like, oh, well, like if Steam just disappears, then I won't have any games anymore. And so how does that make you feel as someone that
I like books.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, and that does get me kind of uncomfortable, the idea that it's kind of gone. And it would just, sorry, this is going to be like a freshman question here.
It's okay.
You can't like save Steam games on your computer or anything, can you? Like it's just in the cloud, it's just in Steam.
I believe so. I'm not 100% on that either, but I believe that's how that works.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah. But it's been like kind of like suggested that like if Steam were to ever go down that way, they would figure out a way to like not have people just be robbed of like all their game collections. That's kind of like
well, that's what I mean. You spend a lot of money on this stuff. Like if you're buying like premium games or something, you're
right. Which also kind of
like 10 games is still $30. I mean,
right. And that's kind of like, is Steam really gonna collapse? You know?
Right. But I don't know. I feel like we've said that about a bunch of stuff.
Right. MySpace.
Who would ever imagine a world without MySpace?
That's right. And it's interesting because now they have like Mad Max Fury Road. You could just buy the movie on Steam right now. You're like, that's not a video game at all. And they also have like some like drawing software and stuff. So they're kind of like expanding. How do you feel about that? Being more than just games.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, if there's a niche there, why not go for it? I mean, it'd be cool to see them get together with Netflix or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like really kind of do what be like online what the video store used to be in the meat world.
Okay, Catherine says it saves them as local files unless it's like an online game. But I'm not 100% sure what that means because I'm a scrub. But thank you to my lovely girlfriend Catherine for filling us in. This show is going to be a little less focused on like sort of like chat interaction, just because I wanted this to be more of like a conversation between the expert and the beginner. But do appreciate the input when I say dumb stuff because that's probably going to happen a lot.
That's pretty much all I'm going to say. So
right,
please.
So I feel like there's more to talk about. But I'm having trouble kind of like sort of because I don't know if I've used half the stuff in Steam. Like I click on a random game, like let's just say Super Meat Boy. You know, there's the community hub, there's achievements, there's so it's like I'm probably not gonna. You only write one review. You know, support. I don't even know what that. You know, let's take a look at that. What that even means.
Where's this under community?
Yeah. Accidentally purchased twice. You know, it's like, it's just, and then there's like community guides, which are usually like drooling baby guides that like don't help at all. The Super Meat Boy drinking game, it's like, I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of like infrastructure that's been established that I don't know if I really need. So I guess I'm kind of wondering how you, like, what features do you foresee yourself using?
Just because, I mean, okay, so the feature that I probably will not be using that much is write review. And that's just because my video game knowledge is 0. So, I mean, but that's just like a thing. Mm-hmm. What I see myself using more is probably the forums.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. Is it cheating if you look on forums to like find tips and stuff?
No.
Okay, so yeah, I'll probably be using that a lot.
Also, using video reviews or video gameplay also are okay.
Okay, no, because I went on YouTube to help look at like advanced levels of Super Meat Boy just to see what I was getting into.
Right.
Sorry, heads up for that.
It's okay.
Episode, but like, yeah, no, I found myself using like the community hive mind features a lot, just because I think it's stupid to waste people that have put effort into that and. I don't know. Maybe I can contribute to that one day.
Right. They made several, like tens of levels, and you just like, well, clearly I can beat them because they wouldn't have made a game of that if they couldn't beat them, and you feel bad because you're not like getting to like sort of their vision. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting to experience the full spectrum of what they have to offer.
Right.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I'm certainly never going to fault you for not finishing a game. As a matter of fact, I would highly recommend you don't finish most of the games because it's really just more about like getting sort of that taste in your mouth and kind of just like seeing how it feels. And if there's like a game that you really end up liking, then you'll probably want to complete it, and then that'll be an interesting conversation to have because you're like, what compelled you to finish it? Like, what pushed you to go to those levels to finish a game when I'm like really only expecting you to do like 5 hours? So like some games you can't even finish. You're gonna find that out. That I have a whole bunch of sick and twisted games coming up that like you die, you start again, you die, you start again, and then. But not in the Super Meat Boy way. It's you have to die almost sometimes to progress.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, that was deep.
But so I guess we can talk about it because it doesn't really matter.
No. I think if you want to hold it up, we can do it.
Well, lots of things are like discounted on Steam. Like they're frequently discounted. They're like discounted a lot. There's like specifically they have like summer sales, like winter sales, and whatnot. And people have a lot of problems with buying excessive amounts of games, but they also have problems like finishing them, or like it sort of also like devalues them.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a game always on sale. You know, like you're like, oh well, if it's not on sale, you know, I don't want to buy it. You know, like I mean, I'm like that. If it's not on sale, you know, I'm not interested really in buying it, and I'm interested in how you feel about that. Is that?
No, I mean, not really. I think it depends on how you feel about the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that goes. There's like, I think that might go more towards your buying philosophy than it does whether or not you're like, I don't know, cheap or something. Because I feel like I would wait for a game to go on sale, not because I don't want to pay for it, but because I feel like games. This is gonna sound weird because I don't play it a lot, but like I know that things have bugs, and it takes time to work these things out, and that's why I'm more likely to kind of buy a little bit further after the fact, just to give like the beta round time to figure itself out.
Oh, how?
Because it's super frustrating for me to get like I don't know if I'm bad or if the game is, if I'm just like pawning it off and like the game is horrible and I'm great, blah blah blah.
That's a pretty enlightened point of view. So people are just now kind of coming around to the idea that you need to really wait for a game to kind of like get its kinks figured out, because a lot of the bigger titles have been buggy on release, and they have like day one patches, so they fix the game the day it comes out, and so that causes like some problems with people doing reviews and whatnot. And so that's sort of why people are going more towards indie games, because they usually present a complete package that's usually pretty well put together. And even if it's not that you didn't waste that much money. So
what is it like? I mean, I don't know how much you know about this, but what does it take to design a video game? Is it anywhere similar to like making a feature film where there's test planes and screenings and people are going through it and kind of trying to figure out the bugs in it and stuff like that? And
playtesting, there should be.
Okay. Is it generally like pretty rigorous, or is it kind of just the creators is going through and like checking?
Well, an example, like the way that you like, because I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember there was like a commercial like in like the 90s where it's like, you gotta tighten up the graphics on level 5, and they're like, I can't believe we're getting paid to play video games. And it's like these two guys like on like a couch.
Oh yeah, and it was like an Art Institute commercial.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So like that's sort of like what they presented game testing as, but really it's like it's taking your character and like running it up against like every surface of the game and making sure you don't like go through the walls, and like doing like complex maneuvers to make sure like you don't just like bug out. So it's a pretty arduous process, and people, you know, it's not apparently very rewarding or thankful work. Like,
you're just like filling out all the possibilities. Like,
right.
Trying to. That's so weird.
And
is that what I always see on like Reddit and stuff when people have like, I feel like GTA is full of those moments where it's like a semi truck goes off a ramp, does a backflip, lands on top of a fighter jet, and then the dude falls and it's like suicide.
Well, yes and no. That's more of like gaming the system, more like exploiting like the game, like not graphics. Fuck, what's my problem? The game like system, like the way that's programmed. But a good example of that is kind of like a lot older games. You can glitch them out and that's how people do like really insane speed runs, like Super Mario or like Mario 64, Super Mario 64. There we go. You can like backflip through walls through like a series of like up down, like
Right.
breaking the game basically. And you go through walls, and it's like you get to the last level in like 5 seconds, and that's ideally what you're supposed to be preventing, but that's takes a lot of work and a lot of like testing to make sure that doesn't just happen.
Right.
So that's sort of why maybe some of those games aren't running the way they should. It's really a complex issue that has nothing to do with Steam, but it's okay to talk about because we're just kind of hanging out. Do you have any? I don't know. Do you have any like questions about it? I don't know about like Steam in general.
I think more as we like move along, but nothing right now. It's like,
No.
Too crazy. Setting up the profile was generally pretty easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, I think the hardest part was like trying to find you as a friend, which is really difficult. I don't know why. I feel like that should be a pretty easy thing, but maybe that's a dumb thing to complain about because it's more about video games than
it's okay. Networking. That's sort of like what I wanted to talk about is that because I think it's hard. Steam feels like a pretty solitary experience for being like a social network. You don't really.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Sorta.
Or it's supposed to be a platform?
But it has a little bit of social in it, obviously, because there's like forums and you can find people and you can friend them and whatnot. So it's not a social network.
Right.
It's just tied to like something else. Like I don't know.
So, like when I was thinking about this, I was expecting it to be like when you have used both Apple Music and Spotify, right?
I've used Spotify. I have not used Apple Music.
Okay. Well, that's how I kind of feel like this is kind of has some Apple Music things because Apple Music has like the social thing, and it's like be social with the artist, but your social is like you can follow them, and then they sometimes post a video like every year or so. Where it's like, this is us recording in the studio back in 1992. Right. And it's like the dumbest thing.
I mean, I can talk to you right now. I just did. I sent you a message.
And like, I don't know. I just felt like it was really weird. So I don't know. This is cool though.
I would say in my experience, I've never really connected with people from games I've played. But I would say that would not be too far of a stretch to say that you would meet people on here and then friend them and then talk to them. Like, I'm pretty sure my dad's met people from like on like DayZ that he talks to that he didn't know anybody. So I would say it's definitely a social network. It's just integrated into like a commercial platform.
Right.
I don't know.
Where did you find the chat feature at? I didn't even know this was there.
See, there we go. There's something to talk about. All right, so I saw your name, and there's a little arrow, and I can click send message, and I can just type you.
Oh, okay, I see it.
I can also view your Steam profile, and I can invite you to a group or invite you to trade, which isn't anything that matters. I can add a nickname. I can be like, hey, this is Shaun.
What is trading?
There are some games that give you items that you can trade through the Steam interface. Like Team Fortress 2, I believe, has items that you can trade. There are also Steam trading cards, and those are just when you play a game. Over time, you will collect packs of cards that are just like flat images of like game graphics, and you kind of collect them and you can sell them. You can buy and sell them for real money, but they're basically like fake internet points at that point because they sell for like 20 cents. It's not like a very lucrative business. But there's stuff in like Dota 2 or Team Fortress 2 that you can sell that can make you a little bit more money than that.
Okay. I saw that when I went on the forums, the first post up there was no trading. No trading on here. Don't do it on here.
Right.
Is that big business on here?
I would say so. You can develop your own items for TF2 and I think Dota, and you can make money from that. But I don't know if that's through this interface. It might be through something else. But
can you explain to me what that is?
Like you can 3D model.
No. What the Dota thing is?
Oh, Dota, Defense of the Ancients, which is a. Do you know what StarCraft is?
No.
Do you know? Okay.
You weren't lying when you said Shaun doesn't play. That is
right, and that's why we're doing it. Okay. Just imagine a game like Risk.
Okay.
Okay, and just imagine you're not rolling dice, and instead you're like a bunch of like guys that can move around. Okay. You generally have resources that you collect using like worker people.
Okay.
And so they collect minerals, and as you're collecting like resources, you can build buildings that will create people that will attack in some way. And you can move them around however you want. You know, you can send them to whatever corner of the map that you want. And so instead of doing all that, in Dota, you have structures that just make guys and just send them down like a path at your opponent's stuff. And so they have lanes, and so there's 2 lanes, or there's 3 lanes, and then so all the guys are clashing on all 3 of the lanes.
Okay.
And there are also like buildings that like shoot bullets, like cannonballs or whatever, that do more damage. And those are sort of like the stopping points. And so what happens is all that stuff is automated, and you play a single character that has abilities. So he has like a bunch of different like spells or attacks that might like shoot. Let's just say he projects like an aura, like a bubble around him, and it does damage in that area. Or he like can shoot an ice bolt out, and it'll like stick the opponent in place for a few seconds. Or he can like just shoot a little thing, and it'll do like a little bit of damage. And so what you're doing is you have like all these abilities that you're kind of comboing together to kill the opponent's guys like they're heroes. And so the guys are coming, you know, the guys, they're automated, they're walking. And so since you're a hero, you have the freedom to move wherever you want. And so you have the freedom to do more damage than the guys that are automated. And so your opponent's trying to stop you from killing your guys in turrets and like buildings. It's like sort of like this tug of war, because you're trying to push all the way to their base and destroy all their stuff. And so you have like a team of 5 people, and they're all doing this all at the same time against another team of 5, and you're both trying to achieve the same goal. And there's like 100 characters, and so they all do different things, and they all have different abilities, and you have to memorize all of them. And it's a misery simulator, if we're being honest, because
oh my god.
Okay, so Dota came out of out of Warcraft, which is like it's like an RTS strategy game.
Right.
So it's like
I know what that is, basically.
Gotcha.
Very basically.
Right. So you understand what that does. So the Dota is like the next evolution, except for that it's focused on a single person instead of an army that you control.
Okay.
Hopefully that made any sense. But the good news is we have the glorious power of the internet, in which you can promptly go look up what it is 5 seconds from now, and you can be like, oh, that's what he meant. But it's okay.
Okay, so just another observation here. When I was like playing stuff, I was really pleased at seeing how many people are posting videos of themselves playing stuff.
On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. It's really helpful. I don't know if it's more like bragging or if it's like this is actually how to do it, but
there's a lot of reasons for it.
Thank you.
Comedy, information, That's really about it. You either want to be funny while you're playing, or you want to give analysis and explain why stuff is good. You know,
Primetime Game Center.
Right.
I'll give you the stats. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, YouTube gaming content is a whole can of worms that we could get into in a separate episode. But there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's glorious in a lot of ways, and sometimes a little cringy, but it's good. I like it. But
okay, so when I open up, I don't know if this is on all the games. I'm just curious.
Okay.
I only played Super Meat Boy, but it has the controller,
mm-hmm.
and it says like "play safe" or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up. Is that a God, I sound so naive. Is that
What?
like a real? Is that like a real like service announcement thing?
Wait, what does it say?
Hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start the game real quick so that way I can tell you. Deny.
Super Meat Boy.
I love the icon for it too.
We have more tactile things to talk about.
Okay, it says warning. First person who says keyboard controls are better is something. I'm not opening it again.
I think it's just letting you know that the game could be better played. You can perform better when you use a mouse and controller as opposed to using the keyboard, because sort of like the button presses of the it's a little less precise.
Yes.
Right. Well, with like a controller.
Yeah.
Like a pressure more pressure sensitivity, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You have like more control over that, and so that allows you to better figure out your jumps.
Right.
Specifically.
Now that's what I wanted to talk about real quick. Is it worth investing in one of these things?
I mean, you could literally just oh Jesus. Okay. Like this is just a PS3 controller.
Okay.
And it just uses a USB uses USB just like everything else, and you just plug it into your USB port. And you got to fiddle with it a little bit just to make sure you got it right, but you can rebind.
It'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, I just have a PS3 controller, and that works just fine.
So there's no need to go out and drop like $60 or
no
$100 on them.
Well, they'll probably be like $20.
Okay.
But
that's all right.
Yeah. Especially because you can probably use the PS3 one because it's older.
Right.
So it probably won't cost as much. But I don't know. I don't know if they have PS4 controllers. I don't know.
What was
They probably
Oh
do.
yeah, next it was more of a comment than a question. I gotta say, when I was playing, I was after I watched that, I was kind of giggling at it. I was like, "Oh, this is funny. Maybe it's supposed to be like cute." But the first time that I was playing it, like my hand started to cramp up.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what they looked like. It was like, ugh, because I was just so used to being like.
I think that's why they might suggest a controller, but even then, I agree that like when I'm playing like Super Smash Bros., which I'm sure you have a vague understanding of what that is, a fighting game, you have to press like a lot of buttons at once, and that kind of makes my hands really cramped up. So
Right.
I definitely understand that.
I was just like, I got to a point where I just put like a heavy object down on shift, so I was like constantly in like super mode.
There you go.
I was just using the space bar, and I was just like, I don't know, should I invest in this? I'm gonna be doing this a lot because
maybe
at
least a few episodes.
Yeah.
All right, so we've been going on for a little bit. We've derailed a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. So, last question I want to ask is: your name is Give Me Toro.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It's a lyric from. Hold on, let me look it up. Sorry, real quick. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right.
It's okay.
The Queens of the Stone Age lyric.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I was listening to it at the time when I started it. It's from Queens of the Stone Age, Songs of the Deaf.
Oh.
It's from the track number 2. You think it ain't worth $1, but I feel like a millionaire. And a lot of time he's screaming, "Give me Toro, give me some more." And I just thought that was kind of a cool lyric because I'm broke.
And you also decide to stylize it by making the O's zeros. Ooh.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Pro tip style your thing. I don't know. It sounded kind of sexual, so I thought about it. But then I was like, no, that's okay. I'll fly with it and I'll see.
Do you felt like that made it sound appropriately gamery? Is that why you did it?
I don't know.
Even zeros and stuff.
Well, I thought it would be less likely that somebody would already have it.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
I feel like I've run into that problem a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I assume that the image that you have, which is like a matchstick, is also from...
Yeah, it's Queens of Stone Age.
Gotcha.
It's from a different album, but...
I'm glad that you figured out how to do that, because I have friends that just refuse to, like, get an icon. I'm like, they couldn't figure it out. I'm like, it's not really that hard. But
upload a picture to Facebook, you can definitely do this.
Right.
And I think the restrictions are actually a little bit easier. Like, I think you can upload, like, a pretty large picture file.
Yeah.
That was surprising. I was like, they're going to have, like, 2 megabytes.
Right.
And be like, okay.
Nope.
Here's a pixel.
All right, so what we can gather from using Steam is that there's a lot of features that we might not ever use. Some of the useful functionality is a little bit hidden. It certainly does a good job of showing you cool shit in the store.
Oh yeah, no. In terms of like showing you what you want, or just giving you an idea of what's on this, like what the store is, they got that figured out.
Yeah,
that was really readable.
Mm-hmm. But everything else,
community, library, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But
community was
Any other key points? Any other takeaways from your usage of Steam?
I should have just not tried to do the internet thing and just downloaded it and then try to do it from there.
Don't use the web browser.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. That's the only thing I would do different looking in hindsight. It's a lot easier to use it on the desktop. So.
Right. Well, that's probably intentional, but they probably wanted to just offer it just in case. All right. So I think we talked about pretty much everything we need to talk about for using Steam. We can probably revisit some of the usability of it as we go through different games and see how they kind of like come up. But yeah, so in the following weeks, we'll be able to play, or we're going to be playing Super Meat Boy, and after that, we'll kind of decide on what games we're going to play from there. So this has been the first episode of Shaun Doesn't Play Video Games. Hope you all enjoyed. This is where we should have a catchphrase. Got it. All right. Bye, everybody.